Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Yomi Yevamos Kuf Beis. We are on the bottom of Kuf Aleph Amud Beis. Last two words. Amar Rava. Geir dones chaveiro devar Torah. Mina Torah. A ger can be part of a bezdin. He can judge his friend, the ger, as opposed to judging a Yisrael, a non-ger. That he cannot do. Now, Dinei Mamanus, matters involving merely financial claims, that even a ger is authorized to do. He can be a dayan on that type of bezdin. But when it comes to Dinei Nefashes, matters involving capital punishment. So if the Yisrael is being judged, a ger cannot officiate on that bezdin. But if it's ger chaveri, a fellow ger, then we allow a ger to be part of that bezdin. Shenemar, how do we know this? How do we know that this limitation, the fact that a ger cannot officiate on a dinei nefashes, is only pertaining to a Yisrael who's being judged, but not when a ger is being judged? Shenemar, soim tasim alecha melech. You're meant to appoint upon yourself a king, and Rashi says all types of appointments, positions of authority, like a judge. What type of melech? Asher yivchar Hashem elokecha boy mikerav achecha, from amongst your brothers, tasim alecha melech. But a ger cannot assume that role. But we have a diuk. Tasim alecha melech, alecha hudubaina mikerav achecha. If he's coming to judge you, the Yisrael, that can only be executed by a fellow Yisrael and not a ger. Aval ger dones chaveiro ger. But if he's merely judging a ger, then he's on equal turf, and even a ger can be a dayan in that type of din. If the ger's mother was Jewish, full-fledged Jew, nothing inferior there, nothing missing, done afil Yisrael, then he could even judge a Yisrael. Ul'in chalitza. However, when it comes to officiating at a chalitza ceremony, ad sheyihei avav v'imam Yisrael, in that case, he cannot be involved until both parents are Yisraelim and not Gerim. Shenemar v'nikashma b'Yisrael, we had this yesterday. He needs to be a Yisrael on all sides. So pertaining to Dinei Mamanus, even a ger is qualified. Dinei Nefashos is qualified only if he is judging a fellow ger. Chalitza needs to be a full-fledged Yisrael on all sides. Amar Rabbi, Amar Rav Kahana Amar Rav. In the Mishnah we discussed the type of shoe we use by chalitza. We have three types. We have ampilia, which is a material type. It's not really, it's more like a garment than a shoe, and that's not considered a shoe that's meant to secure and protect. That doesn't work for chalitza. We have the min'al, which is like today's shoes, a softer type of leather which hugs the foot, which protects the foot on all sides. That is called the min'al. Then we have this sandal of old, a flat piece of hardened leather upon which the foot rests, and that flap of leather, that sole and heel, so to speak, is strapped around the foot using straps. That is the ideal utensil for chalitza. The Gemara soon will explore why. Why would we shy away from a min'al, from a shoe? So ideally it's the sandal, then comes min'al, but ampilia is certainly unqualified. Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Kahana Amar Rav, even if Elio comes along and tells us, Cholzen ben min'al, you can use a min'al, something which we usually don't use. Shemilay, we listen to him and we can actually use the min'al as well. But if he tells us, Hein Cholzen ben sandal, stop using the sandal, which was the standard means of for chalitza throughout all the generations, Ein Shemilay, we never will listen to him. Shekvar nohagu am besandal. Good, that is what Klal Yisrael uses, and we don't back off from our minhag. The fact that the nation is doing it is a raya. That's what Hashem wants, and even Eliyahu Hanavi cannot change that. So that's Rabba's approach. For Rav Yosef Amar, Rav Kahana Amar Rav, he had a different approach, slightly different. Even if Eliyahu Hanavi comes and tells us, Ein cholzen b'minol, stop using the minol. You've been using the minol all along. this soft leathered shoe which hugs the foot, stop using it. Okay, Shemin, we'll back off. We'll listen to him. We understand that's less than ideal. But if he says, Ein cholzim b'sandal, stop using the sandal, ain't Shemin, we ignore. Shekvar noagu ha'am b'sandal, because that's the way the minhag is. Might be now any difference between the first approach of Rabbi and the second approach of Rabbi Yosef? Now there's a difference. Mina lechatchila. Are we meant to use the mina lechatchila? So according to Rabbi, apparently not. If Yaakov comes and says, use the minhal, something which you have not been using up until this point, we'll listen to him. We'll start using it. Apparently, it was not used until now. L'chatchila, right? Rav Yosef says the other way. We'll use the minhal today, and if he'll come and tell us stop using it, we'll listen to him as well. So, according to Rav Yosef, it sounds like standard procedure today is to use the minhal, l'chatchila. But of course, all agree that with the evidence works as per our mission. Asks the Gemara, Uleman de Amar, Afilu l'chatchila. Rav Yosef, who seems to say that nowadays, l'chatchila, we use the minhal, how can that be? Take a look at the Mishnah. Vatnan, cholza bin minhal chalitzasuk sheira. Which sounds like, yeah, it works. Di'evid in, sure, but di'evid, but l'chatchila lo, you're not meant to use a minhal. How can Rav Yosef say otherwise? Answers the Gemara, Hu adin, the afilu l'chatchila. Truthfully, a minhal is perfectly fine, even l'chatchila. If I did the boy missing sefer, ban pilya, chalitzasa psul, on account of the next halacha. The halacha about the anpilya, the material foot covering, which of course does not qualify, which of course is puzzle. So on account of that, in contrast to that, over there it's no good. The afilu b'di'ev, it doesn't work. Tananami reisha. So in the reisha, when we discuss the minhal, the Mishnah chose a language which is the eved. Over there, it's not even good with the eved. Over here, it does work, but of course, it's not to say that you cannot use l'chatchila. Of course, even l'chatchila would be fine. Continues the Gemara. Actually, umino l'chatchila is tanai. It's machlekes tanaim whether or not we're meant to go ahead with a minhal l'chatchila. The Sanya Amar Rabbi Yossi Pamacha Salachti l'Netzivin. Rabbi Yossi says, I was once in the town of Netzivin. So I encountered this older fellow. I asked him, Klumata Baki, are you familiar with this Rav Beravidu ben Beseru who lived in that town, Netzivin? Amarli, he tells me, hey, of course, certainly. Val Shulchan Yutadir, he's always coming to me for lunch. Klumra Isa Shechalas B'Yevamos. Next question, did you ever see him doing chalitza? Do you observe a chalitza ceremony that he performed? Amar Lis, he tells me, sure, many times I've seen him do chalitza. I've seen him in action many times. Next question was, if so, can you please tell me, what did you see? B'minhal or b'sandal? Did he go with the minhal or with the sandal? The Zaken turns to me, raises an eyebrow. Amar Li, he says, b'minhal? What kind of question? Minhal? Is that good for chalitza? Amar Tilay, I responded to him, absolutely. Look, Rab Meir, I suppose this is Rab Meir now, Mishnah. It's not Mishnah Rab Meir. He says chalitza with a minhal works. Rabbi Yaakov, in fact, Rabbi Yaakov had a different version of Rab Meir. Chalitza with minhal, even l'chatchila. Okay, so bottom line is, we do have a machlekes, whether you're meant to use the minhal l'chatchila, but of course, b'di'evet it works. Now, what can be wrong with the minhal? So, as promised, the Gemara will give us the reason. One that shies away from the minhal. Why? My time. What's wrong with the minhal? It's made of leather. It's protective. It's a proper foot covering. What's wrong with it? Is the problem like this? Perhaps because the pasuk says that the Yevamos is meant to remove the shoe. She's meant to remove the shoe directly from his foot, from above his foot, right? Now the shoe has a panta, which is let's call it the bottom, the sole, and then it has the straps, it has the loops, varaksa, which come from the sides and sort of cover the top of the foot, right? So we have the leg, we have the foot, and the shoe sort of hugs the foot, coming from the bottom around the top. Then you have these straps, so the shoelaces which tie the flaps together. Perhaps that poses a concern. Why? Panta me'al. Because the actual leather which wraps around the foot is the me'al ragloi, that's directly on the foot. Varaksa, and then the straps which come on top of that are me'al de me'al. They're on top of the me'al, and that doesn't work. When she releases those straps to take off the shoe, she is too far removed. He's 2 steps away from the foot, and it's meant to be directly relating to the foot. The pasuk says me'al. Something which directly touches the foot, as opposed to handling those straps which are 2 steps away from the foot. If that's the case, if that's the problem, then that's absolute. Then even with the evidence wouldn't work. Answers the Gemara, you're right. The fact that it works with the evidence is the greatest indicator that this isn't the reason for the concern. This isn't the problem. It's not puzzle. And Rashi explains, because at the end of the day, you're uncovering that foot, you're exposing the foot, and that's the point of chalitza. Whether you pull it this way or that way, or straps or flaps, the fact is, the foot is getting exposed. Gilui kara, Rashi says. It's discovering, it's exposing that foot. That makes the chalitza happen. Okay, so then what's wrong with the minel? It's a derabban. Gzera mishum minel merup. You see, typically the minel was made of more softer material. And this leather can shred, can tear, can disintegrate, and perhaps they'll end up using a minel which isn't intact anymore, all cut up and shredded and just lying loosely on his foot, in which case it's not really considered a shoe that he's wearing. And you can't do chalitza with that. Chalitza means taking something which is wrapped around his foot, which is hugging his foot, which is securing his foot. But the minal merupat is barely hanging in there. That doesn't qualify. Inami, another concern can be mishum chatzi minal. Perhaps this minal will fall apart and wear out. You'll have only half of it left, which doesn't cover most of his foot, and of course that's a precondition, that's a requirement. The minal has to be at least mostly covering his foot. So that's the concern, but the evidence, of course, it works as per the halacha in our Mishnah. Amar Rav, ilav de chamita, if not for the fact that I personally saw l'chabibi, my uncle, Rabbi Chia, the cholotz b'sandal. He did chalitza with a sandal, the islay shintzen, that has these loops, some type of loops that you would run the straps through, which fasten the sandal to his foot. I've seen him do it with that type of sandal. If not for my personal experience, I wouldn't have used that type of thing for chalitza, because it's not really properly fastened to the foot. I would have rather gone with the other type, ela besandala, the sandal of the Taya, the Ishmaelim, the mehadak tfei, which is stiffer and more custom made and more snugly fitting, in which case the chalitza, the proper chalitza. But bottom line is, my uncle wasn't so particular. V'haididan, says the Gemara, the one that we use today, afagav de ispe chumrasa, even though it is fashioned with, it's like buttons. You have the bottom of the sandal, then you have the walls which come up to the sides of the foot, and then on top you have sort of like a buttonhole with a button going through. Like the leather is fashioned that way. You have like something protruding going into a hole, and that's how it gets caught. You have a couple of them. That's the chumrasa. So that should be sufficient. Why would you need even strap? Why would you need more than that? It's firmly fastened onto his foot, and she just goes and undoes those sort of buttons. No, afagav this bechumrasa. Even though we have these loops and these buttons, Katrina and Misna, we tie the strap around the sandal as well. A proper chalitza, properly fastened, properly strapped around his foot, and then she goes and she undoes everything. That's the ideal chalitza. Simon hatoras Yevamos sandal. Omar v'damar Rab hatoras Yevamos l'shuk. At what point has the Yevama performed her chalitza, in which case she can go marry a stranger? What's the trigger point? How far off his foot does that shoe have to come? B'shmitas roiva ekev. Most of the sole. That's it. Sorry. Most of the heel. Ekev's the heel. That's it. Meisve. Here comes a kasha. You're telling me the heel is enough? You don't need the rest of the foot? Suppose the straps of this shoe got loose and came apart without her doing it. Or she undid the straps, but who took off the shoe? Sheshamat Raizel himself pulled out most of his foot, meaning he actually removed the shoe. So she did the straps, but he did the rest. Chalitza psula doesn't work, because she has to do the entire thing, undo the straps and dislodge the shoe. Okay, let's make a diuk. Tama de shamatu. Concern is only because he dislodged. Ha shamtahi. If she would have done it, chalitza ksher, it works. But what works? Roiv haregel, in only most of the foot, as the Brisa says. Most of the foot has to be dislodged. Roiv ekev loy, but not merely most of the heel. That's a kash on you. Answers the Gemara, loy, no. Hainu roiv haregel. When we say roiv haregel, hainu roiv ekev. It's exactly what we meant. The roiv of the heel. V'amai korle roiv haregel. Why does it refer to it as roiv haregel if it's meant to be just the heel? The kula chaylo de kara, because the weight of the entire foot, alei dachis, presses down. It leans, it's supported on this heel. The heel holds up the entire foot and ultimately the entire body. That's why the Brisa referred to the heel, which is the pivotal point of that foot, as the roiv haregel. But in reality, you don't need roiv haregel. Roiv of the heel is enough. Meisve. Sorry, Mesayele the Rabbi. This is a right to Rabbi. Ben shehitir hu v'shamtahi. Whether if the Yavam undid the straps and she removed the shoe, ben shetirahi v'shamatu, or the other way around, she undid the straps and he undid the shoe, it doesn't work. Chalitzosa psula ad shetatirhi v'tashmeti. She has to do both. Undo the straps and the shoe itself. Boy Rabbi, here comes an interesting shayla. Karatu mao. Suppose she tears the shoe off. Instead of removing it properly, she was in such a hurry, in such a haste, she ripped off the shoe. So by the time it came off, it was no longer a shoe, it was just shreds. Or srafasu mao, she burnt it on his foot. She burnt the shoe off. So what's the shayla? What makes chalitza? Geluye karabinan. Is it the exposed foot that is required? Excuse me, but ikan, you have it. Fact is, the foot is uncovered. Or perhaps chalitza be'inan, you need to actually remove this shoe. As you're removing it, it needs to be a shoe. But like in this case, you don't have it. Take it, we leave it standing. Nechemia asked a shayla mirabba. Similar shayla, based on the same idea. Shneiman olam zal gavzeh. Mao. Let's say this fellow is wearing one shoe on top of the other. Does chalitza work? Hey chidami, what exactly happened? That you remove the upper one, the outer one, and the lower one is still sitting there. Certainly it doesn't work. Pasuk says me'al. You have to remove the shoe from the foot. Me'al amarachmona. V'loy me'al de me'al. It can't be a double-decker shoe, meaning she hasn't removed the shoe which is actually protecting his foot. It was the other one. Of course that doesn't work. Like Tzricha, apparently we're speaking the karate leiloi. She tore open the outer one, but left it in place. V'shalfase l'tatay, and reached into the bottom one and shalfase, dislodged the bottom one. V'koy eloi, but the outer one, the upper one, is still standing in place. He's still wearing a shoe, but she removed the shoe which was immediately next to his skin, right on top of his regel. What is the halach in this case? Chalitza be'inan. Do we need a chalitza? Va'ikan, you have it. She took the shoe off his foot. Or perhaps, giluya karabinan. You need to expose his foot. Velaka, you don't have it exposed. It's pretty much the same shayla as before. Asks the Gemara, what type of chalitza is this? Is that called derech? You wear two shoes? Does that even work? Umiika ki agana, who walks around with double shoes? And yeah, it could happen. The Chaziyul Rabbanan actually noticed the Rabbi Yehuda did enough. Like he went out in the street, b'chamisha zuzi, with 5 pairs of muki, of this felt type of foot covering, 5 layers of this covering. So you see that it happens. L'shuki went out to the street with it. So you see that it can work. It's a reasonable type of setup, and perhaps chalitza would work. Amar v'damarav. Yevamos shehigdila ben ha'achim. Suppose her husband passed away and she's still a ketana, and she's playing with the other brother-in-laws. She lives on the block. They play together. Muteres linase le'echad ben ha'achim. So at this point, you cannot do chalitza. A katan, a ketana, you don't do chalitza. So you wait until they grow up. But at this point, once they're gedalim, is she allowed to have yibum with one of these brothers? Yes. Mutaras linase le'echad ben ha'achim. What can be the problem? We're not concerned. Perhaps throughout their childhood, perhaps they played home, they played house one day, and she pulled off one of the brother's shoes, and there you go. That's chalitza. We're not choishish for that type of scenario. Asks the Gemara, that's only because you haven't seen it happen. Suppose you notice her doing it. We're concerned that it's a chalitza. Obviously, it happened after she became a gadol, right? Is that a chashash? It wouldn't work in any case. Why? Vatani, we learned on the Raizel, who? You need to have kavana. I'm doing a chalitza, sending her out, being matur. Yeah, you have to know what you're doing. Some say it's a localfile Sinai, some say it's a pasuk. Bench neskaven who? V'lo neskaven he. Let's say there was a chalitza done, but he had kavana, and she wasn't, mindful of what was going on. Whether she was aware of Le'niskavnu or not him, it doesn't work. She's skavnu shneim, until they're both involved. She's skavnu shneim ke'echa. So just because she pulled off his shoe during child's play, it's not considered. He meant like this. Yeah, even if we have noticed this type of thing taking place, we're not choishish that perhaps they had kavanah. No, they were just playing around, and we don't reckon with it. There's another version of this pshat. We don't just raise a concern if we haven't seen anything. But had we have seen, we would be concerned to the extent that she can no longer be mesiyabim to the brothers. But we have a brayso that kavana is required. Yeah, that's only to allow her to marry out. A proper chalitza needs kavana. But even an improper chalitza, an incomplete chalitza without kavana, renders her pasul for yibum. Amar v'damarav. We know that the sandal that we use is made from durable material, ideally made with leather, right? What about the stitching in that sandal? Sandal are tougher, bepishtan. If it was stitched and sewn with linen material, threads, ein chotzim, but you can't use it. You cannot use it. Shenemar ve'en alcha tachash. I led you through the midbar, Hashem says. I clothed you, I gave you shoes. Nalayim have to be made from tachash. It's a certain type of behema. That leather is suitable for shoes. But if you make shoes from just pishta material, that doesn't constitute, that's not protected, it's not considered a megan, it's not a nal. It's not only the material itself, but the stitching has to be leather. If that's the case, perhaps it has to be tachash and nothing else. What about another animal, another behema, another type of leather? Perhaps it doesn't work. No, na'al riba. We have another loshen na'al again and again in the parasha of chalitza. So the extra na'al includes all types of leather as well. Na'al riba. If the extra na'al includes all materials, afilu kol mili nami, then use any type of material, even wool, linen, anything. If that's the case, then What's the pasuk of an alacha tachash coming to tell you? Apparently, it's coming to tell you that ideally it has to be something firm, rugged, something that can protect, leather and the like. Here comes the shaila asked to Rav. Who shall or? Suppose the shoe is made from leather, but its loops through which you string the straps is made from goat's hair. What would be the halacha there? Amalei, he says, sure, it works. Can't we apply on this type of shoe the pasuk? Ve'en aleich tachash, meaning as long as the shoe features leather, it primarily features leather. Even if it has some extra trimmings which aren't leather, it's still considered a leather protector. If that's the case, kulei shel seir nami, then make the entire thing from goat's hair. So he says, no, that's not a shoe. Oh, kraka, mikra, it's just a kraka, some sort of slipper. It's not something that protects and secures, and that is an absolute precondition for na'al, for minol, and for sandal. Amalei Rav Kahana lishmo, memai dahai v'chotza na'alim al raglei, mishlafu. How do we know that chalitza means that she goes ahead and dislodges, removes the shoe from his foot? Apparently, dichsiv, because of the pasuk v'chiltzu sa'avonim asher b'hen ha'nega. If one finds a nega in a home, they dislodge the stone. So we find that v'chiltzu and v'chaltza is referring to something that's going to be detached, disengaged, and dislodged. Okay, I have another option. Ve'ema zeruzihu. Perhaps the chalitza of a Yevama, v'chaltza na'ale, doesn't mean removal. It means placement. Take a shoe and put it on his foot. As we find, take some anoshim and place them into draft them into the army. So we see that heicholzu is referring to placement, positioning. So maybe by chalitza as well. V'cholza na'ale means taking a shoe and putting it on his foot. Hasam na mishlufim yibesa likrava. No, the pasuk by those soldiers is also referring to dislodging, detaching. Shlufim yibesa. Take them away from their homes, the krava, and draft them into the army. So Yechotzu Me'itchem is referring to disengagement, dislodging, removal. What about the pasuk? Yachleitz ani ba'anyai. Hashem will do chalitza to the ani when he is experiencing his poverty, which sounds like Hashem is reinforcing him, Hashem is giving him. Yachleitz, he will strengthen him. Has a positive ring to it, not detaching and disengagement. Answers the Gemara, no, actually, there as well has the same meaning. Beschar anya, in the merit of his poverty and his difficulties, which brings him kapara, yechaltze medina shel gehinam, Hashem will extrapolate him from the din of Gehenna, will spare him the Gehenna experience. There we go. Chalitza means to spare, to remove. What about the pasuk? Malach Hashem saviv lirei vayechaltzem. Hashem sends his malach who protects his tzaddikim vayechaltzem, which sounds like reinforces them, strengthens them, supports them. Not the opposite. Here again, b'schar yirav, the merit of their yira, of their appropriate behavior. Yechaltzem medin shel gehinam, he'll spare them from Gehenna. What about the pasuk? Vatzmeisecha yachlitz, which means as follows: V'amar b'lezer zumu ula sheba bracha. This is the best bracha you can get. Why? V'amarava zruzi garmi. Hashem will reinforce your skeletal structure, the best you can get. The body rests on its skeleton. Hashem will be mechazik, yachlitz that some ways. So clearly, yachlitz has a positive ring to it: reinforcement, strengthening, supporting, rather than disengagement and detachment. Says the Gemara, you're 100% right. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's like that. Mashma hachi. But by chalitza, it cannot mean otherwise. Why? The hacha, but over here by chalitza, isa kadaitach zruziu, if the chotza na'alim araglagli is speaking about the Yevama placing a shoe on his foot, as you're proposing, imkain, if that's the case, we have a problem with the loshen. Lichtoi, the pasuk should say, lichtoi v'rachman v'chaltza na'aloi biragli, if v'chaltza means placement. Should say she places the na'al biragli, onto his foot. not from his foot. Well, that wouldn't work. Because of Rachmana B'Raglai. You know why it doesn't say B'Raglai? Because otherwise, Havamina would think B'Raglai in B'Shoikelai. Suppose he's missing, his foot. He just has his knee, his leg going down, and he's missing. Loyalena is missing his bottom. I would think you can't place the shoe on his sheik, on the leg. That's why. Because of Rachmana Me'al Raglai. That's why the pasuk says no. She can place that foot, that shoe, Me'al Raglai, even above his foot, even if it's Dafilu B'Shoike, even if it's on the leg. So perhaps V'chol Tzanala means placement, putting it on him. Me'al Raglai is coming to add the upper area as well. If that were so, Lichtav Rachman, the pasuk would say B'Me'al Raglai. V'chol Tzanala, she places the foot B'Me'al Raglai, on the area that's above his foot. My Me'al Raglai. Why then does the pasuk say V'chol Tzanala Me'al Raglai, which sounds clearly like she's trying to remove and dislodge? Shema Mina Mishlafu, it's removal and dislodging. Amarle Ahumina, this heretic, they're always trying to convince us that Hashem abandoned us, chas v'shalom, that Hashem exchanged us for the other nations. So this min goes over the Rabbi Gamliel and he says, Klal Yisrael is a nation, Amo de cholotz leimari minei, whose masters Hashem has disengaged from them. He did chalitza with them. The pasuk says, "B'tzoyim u'bivkaram ye'elchu levakesh Hashem." They look for Hashem, but lo yimtzu, they won't find him. Why? He's gone. Chalatz mem. He did chalitza. He's disengaged. There you go. It's a pasuk in your turn. Amar later, Gamliel responds, "Shaita, you silly one. Miksiv chalatz lahem. Who does chalitza? Who does the mitzvah? The Yavam, right? Not the Yevamos. She does the pulling off the shoe, but it's his mitzvah. He does either yibum or chalitza. He's the one that applies the chalitza, right? In this case, Hashem is the boss. Like Hashem would be the Yavam, theoretically, right? Does the pasuk say that he did chalitza to us? Miksiv chalatz lahem? No. Chalatz mehem ksiv. He received from Klal Yisrael, gave the chalitza. That doesn't work. Really, Yevamos, the chaltzu. Mina achen. If a Yevama goes and does chalitza to the brother, she does the mitzvah. Midim mashasha isbeit. Does it have any value? Of course not. Here as well, Klal Yisrael strays. We stray. We should be closer. We moved away from him, but he's still there, looking over us, caring for us, loving us, connected to us. Continues the Gemara. Ban pilya chalitzas psul. So if she uses this type of slipper, type of material, foot covering, it doesn't work. Do you mean to say this slipper is not considered a shoe? It's not qualified for chalitza? Vatnan. Nami, and we have a Mishnah which supports this, where we see that Anpilya is not classified as a shoe. Ein HaTorah, this Kohen or Yisrael, anybody who would be in charge of the Trumas Halishka, would go into this chamber full of the Machzas HaShekels and remove a portion, which was called Trumas Halishka, used to supply the Karbonos in the Mikdash. He would go in a manner which would avoid any sort of suspicion that he's trying to siphon off some money. Ein HaTorah Nichnas, the fellow would not go in with any pockets, when any hems, where you could slip in some money. Lo yibeh pargud chafas, with a hemmed robe. V'lo ban pilya, with a slipper, where you can slip in some money. Ve'ein tzarich lemer, of course, goes without saying, b'minol v'sandal, he wouldn't go in there with a shoe. L'fish ein yachnasin b'minol v'sandal azari, not meant to walk in with a shoe into the azara to begin with, which tracks dirt, etc. You're not meant to wear those things at all. So that has no place in the Beis HaMikdash altogether. But the Chiddush is, even the Anpilya, which is sort of a slipper, which you can wear in the Beis HaMikdash, but not when he's involved in the Trumas Halishka. So clearly the Anpilya is not classified as a shoe. Vira minu, here comes a kasha. We find that by Yom Kippur, we're not meant to wear shoes, nilas ha-sandal, and guess what's included? Even the Anpilya. Echad minol v'sandal, whether a proper shoe, v'anpilya or the slipper, lo yitayel ben. On Yom Kippur, one should not be walking with these things. Lo mibayis labayis, from room to room, v'lo mimita lamita, even within the room, from bed to bed. So you see, even Anpilya is included. Amar Abaye. Oh, over there, the Isbek Sisi was speaking that it's padded. Umisham tarak, because of the pleasure that it provides. And that's why it's usher. It's not a shoe. but it's comfortable, and that's why it's asr. Amalei Rava. Rava responds, comfort? Is that asr on Yom Kippur? You can't wear a shoe, but you can be comfortable. Or mishum tanak, just because it's providing comfort, below minal. If it doesn't constitute shoe, b'yom kippurim yasiri, why would it be asr on Yom Kippur? I have a story to prove this. V'Rabba barafuna korich sudra akari. He wrapped material around his foot, v'nafik, and walked out with that type of material, even on Yom Kippur. Elam Rava says, Rava Lekash, I'll answer the kash like this. There are two types of anpilias, two types of slippers. Kan banpilya shel oir. If it's a leather slipper, apparently it was even softer material than a minel, it's a flimsy type of foot covering, but leather made, that's asr on Yom Kippur. That's called a nal. Kan banpilya shel beget. Whereas by chalitza, when we speak about anpilya being disqualified from chalitza, that's because it's material made. Hachidami mistavra. In fact, I'll prove this as true. Because otherwise, we'll have another kash. Kash Yom Kippurim, Yom Kippurim, within Yom Kippur itself. There is a brisa, which I discovered, that allows anpilin. We just had a brisa which doesn't allow anpilin on Yom Kippur. Where's the brisa? The Sadi. Lo Ital Adam. Bikur the Kisan. Person should not walk around wearing these sort of shoe coverings, Rashi says, like rubbers protecting from the rain, but it's made from leather. You shouldn't wear them. B'seich beisa in one's home. Aval matayilu ba'anpilin b'seich beisa. Anpilin is okay. 1 second. We just said anpilin on Yom Kippur is not okay. Oh, this must be the solution. Allah shmamino. Kan ba'anpilya shel or. If it's made of leather, it's no good. Kan ba'anpilya shel beged. If it's material, that's fine. Shmamino. In fact, this proves my distinction. This type of anpilya and that type of anpilya, depending on what it is. Okay, so what do we learn today? We have 3 types of foot coverings. We have the anpilya. I'll start with that. Well, 2 types. There's the one made of beged, just material, cloth material. That's not considered a shoe. That's not v'chotza na'ali. That's not something which protects the foot, which secures the foot. That doesn't work. And in fact, on Yom Kippur you can wear it. We have the anpilya shel oir, the leather one, which is a bit better. Likewise, we have the minel, which apparently was an even upgraded version of the anpilya, like a shoe similar to what we wear today, more of a foot-hugging type of arrangement. So actually, that's a shaila. Some say that l'chatchila it would be okay, but some disagree. L'chatchila not, and the reason was because it might fray, it might wear out, in which case you'll be left with just a partial shoe, which is not good for chalitza. Ideally, a sandal should be used, which features this thick, tough bottom with straps and loops on the sides, which will endure, which will provide a proper fit, and will allow for a proper chalitza without any shaylas. We spoke about the sandal being sewn together with leather straps as well, leather threads, and we had a chiddush that even if the actual sandal is leather but the loops through which you run the straps are made of goat's hair, that's okay because it's just like a side feature, but the primary item is leather made and affords proper protection. Who does the chalitza? She undoes the straps and dislodges the shoe. How far off? It needs to be roiv ha'ekev. At least most of his heel has to be dislodged. Very interesting shaila. What constitutes chalitza? Shoe removal or foot exposure? What's the nafkamina? She just rips it while it's on him without taking it off as a shoe, or she burns it, or in the case of a double shoe, she bores her way through the outer one and pulls out the inner one, leaving the outer one intact. That was an interesting shaila which we didn't really conclude on, but we know that kavana is required on his side and on her side to produce a proper chalitza. All the best to you and hatzlacha Rabbi.